Okay, I know. I know. I. Oh, man. I really struggle to stay consistently motivated to do anything. It's not because I don't like YouTube. It's just same with schoolwork. Sometimes I'm better, sometimes I just barely even do my homework. Man. Well, as I've probably said way too many times already, I'm gonna try my best. I'm really sorry, but since I've been gone for now, like a month again, I thought, why not? Let's just make Naruto OP, because for some reason that's what I enjoy doing the most, even though I've done it a lot of times. But again, it's not gonna be the same as all the other series, obviously. So let's get into the story. So as you probably saw from the title, this isn't directly what if Naruto was OP or powerful or anything like that. It's just what if he was, well, a little smarter than usual. So I could definitely go into the whole Nine-Tailed story, but it's basically the same thing. Since I'm not changing anything about Minato, Kushina, or Nine-Tails or something like that, it's just Naruto specifically. As I've always wondered why, well, Minato was very intelligent, so is Kushina, so why wasn't Naruto? And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. So basically, that's the only thing that's going to change. But obviously it's going to have a huge effect later onwards, as Naruto not being the smartest has always been, well, one of his character traits. And so, the story begins much later than Nine-Tails' attack, rather when Naruto is a young child. Obviously Danzo would still try to spread fear in the Leaf Village, and therefore release rumors that the Nine-Tails wasn't dead, and there wasn't any Jinchuriki, rather that Naruto was the Nine-Tails, or some sort of manifestation. It didn't really make sense to the average civilian hearing it, but if they got someone to blame for the tragic events that took down only 4 years earlier, they were gonna pick someone, even if it was a small child. So Naruto became an outcast really quickly. He couldn't visit all the shops that he liked before, and more it became difficult to walk down the street. Sure, some people ignored him, which was honestly the best. Some people gave him weird stares, and some people made weird remarks, and the worst of the worst, even chased him until he was either out of breath and left him alone, or actually started to beat him. None of this made sense to the young child, and yet, growing up like this, in the next 2, 3, 4 years, Naruto grew to be very resilient and independent. He realized that he could only rely on himself, and so had to think of how he could become stronger, not physically, well, that too, but mostly mentally. He couldn't keep crying every time he got beat. That would lead him nowhere. He couldn't, if that meant beating someone else, sure, that could be the resolution, but that would make him look even worse than he already was, or at least to the average civilian. Perhaps if he stopped people from beating him mentally, if he didn't even have to touch a person, but they would know not to mess with him, that would be the best solution. But he still hadn't thought of a way to actually do that. It was all theoretical up until now. Now, Naruto was at the right age to apply to the Ninja Academy. Obviously he wanted to become stronger, so becoming a ninja was the right thing to do. Also, becoming a shinobi could become a position of respect. So even if it just meant people wouldn't hate him as much, he would take it. And even if none of that, he didn't really have anything else to do. He was kind of bored at home, and even if there were any kids who would want to play with him, which at this point there weren't any, it was just boring. The other kids were just weird, and most of them frankly quite dumb. And even if there were any kids who would want to play with him, which at this point there weren't any, it was just boring. The other kids were just weird, and most of them frankly quite dumb. And so Naruto's academy life started, and this was much more interesting. He was especially interested in history, but also loved physically training. Perhaps it was the clone jutsu or shuriken throwing, though there was one issue with that. For some reason, there was always a problem with the clone or transformation jutsu, even though they were the most basic of basic jutsus, the easiest of them all, which everyone could do. Even some that had never even been to the academy learning from their parents. But Naruto couldn't. Then one fateful night, laying in bed, he heard a voice. He had been kept up all night thinking about why. Why couldn't he do things that seemed so easy to everyone else? He was much smarter than most in his class. Obviously there were exceptions, like Shikamaru, who was by far the smartest. But he was definitely smarter than people like Choji or Kiba. So why couldn't he do the jutsus that they were doing? Of course, aside from the, family trait jutsus, the Kekkei Genkai. But why? Why could they do the clone jutsus? And then the voice. It said, "I'm the source of your problems." What? Who are you? Naruto asked. I am the nine-tailed beast. The fox that ravaged the village. Yes, my child. I'm the reason that they call you the monster. I'm not dead, like they have you believe. You can't kill a tailed beast, and even if you somehow manage, they'll always come back. They're tied to nature itself. But I had a much crueler fate. I was sealed into you, which made both of our lives unbearable. I am constantly trapped in prison, whilst you are an outcast for coexisting with me. Both of us were offered a rotten hand, but we can change that. Both of us. I don't know exactly how. Well, how you can let me free, that is. But for now, it would be beneficial for both of us if you stop being such a loser. You know, when you get beat, I feel that too. Our life is intertwined, so you better not die on me. Else it'll take me probably a few decades to reform. And, well, you obviously won't at all. So maybe just don't do that. What the hell are you talking about? You're the Ninetales, and you're telling me I shouldn't die because you're trapped in me. But I thought you were dead. Again, I don't know how often I'm going to tell you this. I can't die, at least not forever. But you just said it would take you a few decades, didn't you? Well, you were set to be killed, what, like 7, 8 years ago now? 8.5, to be precise. But no, I was not killed at all. I was just, trapped in you. That's all. Your Hokage trapped me in you, as he saw that that was the only way of stopping the terror. Which, by the way, I might have to clear my name. So I'm just gonna tell you this. It was not my choice to terrorize this village. I would have loved to stay in peace, even though I wasn't really at peace. I was inside Kushina Uzumaki, though she was a very kind soul. Definitely one of the best ones I've ever had. Jinchuriki, I mean. But still, I am trapped. A prison is still a prison, whether it might be beautiful, have a window, whatever. It's still a prison. But no, I was manipulated. You see, Kushina Uzumaki and the 4th Hokage had a child, and on that night, I was released, as Kushina was very weak. And there was one Uchiha that took that to their advantage. I don't know who it was exactly, but his aura, it gave off it gave off the chakra of Madara Uchiha. Chakra that I'll never forget, as it was that Madara that manipulated me as well to fight Hashirama, founder of this very village. So it wasn't your fault. You were manipulated. So you're really not that bad, huh? You're just a little fox. Excuse me? And at this point, their conversation became so real that they actually started seeing each other. Naruto's real body drifted off to sleep, or at least that's what it seemed like, and they both appeared, or Naruto appeared, in his mindscape as Kurama was already there. So that's what it really looks like, huh? You're really trapped. Sorry to hear that. Is there perhaps anything I can do to help you? Help me? You child want to insult my power? No, that's not what I meant. But is there? I don't think so, Kurama said. For now. But perhaps if you meet some of the other Jinchuriki, if I can talk with my siblings, perhaps they know of something. Or perhaps there is some ability for you to unlock that could help you, or help me, help us part our ways. Got it. So, seems like both of us have some work ahead of us. I guess so. But hey, you're not gonna boss me around, is that clear, kid? Yes, sir. You got it. As their conversation stopped, and Naruto woke up on a sunny morning. Time for school again, but this time, when there was a roll call for everyone to try out the jutsu, just for Iruka to see where students are at the moment. Here, they were supposed to do a transformation jutsu and then a clone jutsu. But obviously, when it was Naruto's turn, everyone already knew what the answer was going to be. A straight F. But not this time. For some reason, even though he did the same thing that he'd always done, this time it worked. Instead of his chakra being like a maze through his body, this time it was a river, going clear in one direction. And so, he first did the clone jutsu. And then, without even disbanding the clone jutsu, he did a transformation. And then, both the clone and the real Naruto transformed into Iruka. I didn't want to give him sexy jutsu right now, because I think that's just a little OP, if you know what I mean. But he will definitely get it later on, so be prepared. But Naruto, that's incredible. A+ for you. That was great. Never seen something like that. Good job. I hope I can see more like that from you. As everyone else in the class was shook. Now, no, technically the Uchiha Massacre would have already happened, but just because why not, I'm going to move it back 1 year from canon. I think it was around when Naruto was at the age of 8, so this time it's going to happen in half a year when Naruto is at the age of 9. Just because I think it's a little easier and also convenient for the story, if I'm just going to be honest. Just imagine that tensions, whilst they were very high, were a little bit less than canon. Now, aside from that, I also do have to mention that Naruto, whilst obviously being hated for being the monster, the Nine-Tails, he's not hated for being a dumb brat who keeps on doing pranks. Again, he is smarter, so he doesn't seek validation like that, as he knows that it's just going to give him an even worse reputation, and that's not the kind of help that he wants. He doesn't just want to get shouted at for doing something wrong. He wants to actually talk with people. And so, doing well in school, becoming shinobi like that, could probably help his reputation. And in class, he doesn't shout around. He's more of a quiet kid. He really tries his best to keep people's opinion of him either neutral or positive, if it's possible. But obviously, with everyone else's imagination of him, that's kind of difficult. And so his life continues. Naruto is somehow, for some reason, suddenly so much better than before. At Jutsus, I mean. And even in shuriken throwing, he's noticed a slight increase in accuracy. And so he asked Kurama about this. By the way, by now he knows his name. And obviously Kurama tells him the truth. Before, as basically any tailed beast would do, he messed around with his chakra a little bit. As Kurama's chakra is much stronger than Naruto's, and there's much more of it, him just messing around a little completely disrupts Naruto's chakra, and so he wasn't able to do any kind of jutsu. But now, with Kurama doing nothing, and in the future perhaps even helping Naruto, it's so much easier. Naruto is half Uzumaki, obviously, and so he has an incredible amount of chakra. And about 2 months after their first encounter, Naruto would talk about how he studied and has been studying the 4th Hokage a lot recently. He's obviously one of the most well-respected people in Konoha, aside with probably Hashirama himself, the founder. The 4th Hokage is a war hero, a leader beloved by all, and, well, just a great guy all around. But for some reason it took Naruto so long, almost a month, to take a good look at a picture of him and realize they look really similar. Like, uncanny similar. Almost the same. But that's impossible. Naruto Uzumaki, Minato, and Namikaze. And also, Minato died. Naruto can't possibly be his child. But what if? Perhaps not his child, but perhaps cousin of some degree, perhaps long-lost brothers, or maybe their great-great-grandparents were somehow related. But they really do look similar. Even the way their hair is styled, and the way their eyes just look. The face, the shape of their nose, it just all looks so similar. And when this is mentioned to Kurama, he tells him everything. He had a suspicion, well, was almost sure. He told him about how Minato and Kushina, and how they got together, obviously, and how they had a child and were planning to name Naruto after Minato's teacher's book character. And so Kurama really got into the Nine-Tails for the first time. Naruto was always a little scared to ask. It was a quite traumatic event, not just for the village, but also for Kurama. He was basically brainwashed into killing people. Sure, he'd never liked the humans, but, well, he didn't want to kill them. And so he let it all out. And for the first time ever, Naruto actually saw some emotion in Kurama. And instead of continuing to ask questions like he usually would and rambling on, he just let Kurama talk. Like he would Iruka or something like that. An actual teacher, a mentor. And so this time they talked and talked. Mostly Naruto just listening to Kurama's stories. And they talked for what felt like literal days on end, as obviously time doesn't go the same in Mindscape. And so when Naruto finally seemed to wake up, it had just been 12 hours. Actually, a little less, since Naruto doesn't go to bed at, well, very early. And so, just overnight, Naruto became much wiser, and really got to understand how the whole history that Naruto had been learning actually was from a real person's perspective. If you can call Kurama a person, whatever. But Naruto really got to understand how, sure, history was cool and all, but it was traumatic for a lot of people. And whilst the villains were cool, they were ruthless. And people really did suffer. It's kind of obvious, but Naruto really got to feel that when listening to Kurama. It's like, personally, for me, when you listen to your grandparents talk about something in their life, and it just hits you. Like, man, that happened. Anyways, I'm going too deep on this. But yeah, just Naruto got more knowledge from this, basically. And so he became very invested in his studies and wanted to expand, not just about recent history, Fourth Hokage, but extending that to the third, second, Hashirama himself, and Madara, his long-lost rival, the legendary Madara, that Kurama talked a lot about, only negatively though. The one that controlled Kurama, and the only person that could ever rival Hashirama. But Naruto certainly found it very weird. The story said that he just exiled himself. But then how come this random Uchiha that Kurama was talking about have Madara's chakra? How could that even be closely, remotely possible? Sure, they could be related. I mean, they were both Uchihas, but even that wouldn't just give you the same chakra. He didn't say similar. And Naruto even asked about this again. No, it wasn't similar. It was actually Madara's chakra. It didn't make any sense, but it really was that. And so now more and more time passed as Naruto was very interested in the Uchiha history. Obviously there were a very old family, tribe, culture, whatever. They were quite old, along with Senju, just that the Senju were basically extinct at this point. The Uchihas very far from it. But all of that would change soon. But honestly, I think that's going to be it for today. Again, I'm going to try my best, but I really can't promise anything. I think you should know that by now. I'll see you in the next one, hopefully. Bye.